Sally, Sally, can you hear me?
Aha, hello. I can hear you. Can you? Ah,
Oh,
oh,
we
this,
did it.
I'm all right. How are you? I'm so sorry, Brian. This was all beautifully set up last night to be ready to go, and then everything went wrong. So I'm so sorry.
It's okay, no problem. It's great. It is great to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for being here and doing this interview with me and having me in the festival with the series. It's amazing. We're so excited.
Yeah, we are too. So we love your work. So I'm slightly technically challenged sometimes, and this thing is already recording, so I'm not going to try to stop it. I figure we'll just jump right in and have some fun.
I think that sounds like a very good plan. Let's do that.
So first, I think I want to talk about you a little bit because I know that you come from a theater background. And so I know that I'm telling you about you. I should be asking you about you, but I'm not a professional interviewer, so I'm just gonna go with it, right? So I know this is what I know, and then you can tell me what I don't know. So I know that you have specifically had experience with just from your bio. You've had experience with Shakespeare, you with playing lead roles, and I think that has probably shaped you. But I want you to tell me a little bit about your background that people might not know from reading your bio.
Oh, okay. A bit about my background. Okay. Oh gosh, that's that's an interesting question because I cram everything into my bio. So, you just read my bio, you'll get it. But I guess what people don't know is that I basically came straight out of high school and went straight into the acting profession. In fact, it overlapped my last couple of years of high school. But I also ran a production crew career alongside my acting, and pretty much have done so from the very beginning. So what people might not know is that I started in my crew work working in lighting in theatre.
Oh, okay.
That was interesting. Yes, I have a terrible fear of heights. So I was not the one up on the crow's nest, up on the theatre roof doing the lighting rigging. That was not me. Okay. But I did actually run follow spots. So that was the first kind of production work that I did. And I started there, and then I went through and did makeup. I shadowed a makeup artist for a while to understand makeup, and then I did boom swinging for a blink, which was insane. Gosh. I have so much respect for boom swingers, just have to say, for sound guys generally and girls generally. But man, that is a tough job, and very sore arms, I have to say.
I was going to ask you if you're really built now as a result of that.
Not at all. But it's amazing. I think that helps me really appreciate my sound crew, I have to say. And then I ended up working in the BBC for when I moved to London for nearly 5 years, which was working initially as a production secretary, and then moving into researching and assistant producing and running pitch idea committees and all sorts of stuff. So I think because of doing all of that production work alongside my acting work, which, yes, I did start in theatre, absolutely correct, and have had to still do theatre here and there, but have moved pretty much into screen now. Obviously up for any great theatre offers, though. Anyone hit me up if you've got any interesting roles for a crazy redhead. I'm here for it. But I kind of work more predominantly in screen in the last few years. And so that running the gamut of all that different, I mean, I did so many other different crew roles as well, working as production coordinator for a TV comedy show here in Melbourne and doing all that kind of stuff. So that's given me, I think, probably a really good education, I guess, in both sides of the camera, which the natural evolution of that, I suppose, was going, oh, maybe I should create my own stuff now. So, so yeah, and so my first production, which actually is behind me, I don't know if you can see it that clearly, is this one here, was A Little Rain Must Fall in the UK, which I created straight out of drama school, which was a 45-minute film, which was set in London, which I wrote and produced, and then yes, over time I've moved into directing as well. So yeah, I guess that's been one thing people might not get from my bio, is that I did all the things for quite a while.
Yeah, and you started off doing all the things, which is really unheard of, you know. So good on you for that. Did you find that there was a challenge with, like, I find that particularly actors sometimes, they struggle when they try to go from stage to screen, and sometimes vice versa. Have you experienced any of that?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think in the case of, I think it's a fallacy that stage actors can't do screen and screen actors can't do stage. I think it comes down to technique, though. And I think that is possibly the missing ingredient for a lot of people. If you have a strong, and this is, I also teach Shakespeare, so here we go. Teachers coming out now. If you have a solid foundation for your acting craft and you understand the basics, and that's really all it is, you know, as I work a lot with Howard Fine, who runs a studio out of LA, and David Curry, Howard Fine Acting Studio, and Howard is amazing, and, you know, coaches people like Will Smith and Brad Pitt and, you know, and Gail Gadot and all those guys. And as he said, there are no advanced mistakes, there are only basic ones. So if you understand the basics, I think, of technique, you can work out how to adjust for each medium. So a lot of stage actors are accused of being too big for screen. And that can come down to the fact that an actor's not grounded in the role, I guess. If you're present and grounded and you've got a fairly solid foundation, I'm not saying you've got to go to drama school. I went to drama school. I highly recommend it. But, you know, you don't have to if you can find a really good coach or teacher, or work with really good people and learn on the job. All of that is totally viable. But it's about being really grounded in either medium and then knowing what the medium is. So then the technicalities of, if you're on stage, please project. We'd like to hear you. And if you're on screen, realize the microphone could be right here and you're going to have to, you know, adjust for that. But that kind of stuff, as much as there are plenty of classes out there teaching that, yeah, I think you kind of probably need to learn that on the job to a degree. I will say, though, that I think if you have a solid theatre background and you understand your voice, and that's really important, I think actually that sets you up very well for doing screen down the track, as long as you understand the different dynamics involved in how to produce your voice in those different mediums. But also just being grounded. And also the realization, you know, that's the other technique issue is, you know, on stage, you've got to fill a stage, and on screen, you've got this box. So don't do this, because no one's really going to see it. You know, make sure you know what your framing is. Again, this is all stuff you learn as you go. But if you've got really solid technique, your performance should be able to be measured according to the medium you play in. But yeah, look, I mean, I personally don't believe that an actor that's on stage can't transition to screen. I think they can, but it just takes, you know, some paying attention to what's going on screen and being humble enough, I guess, too, to actually learn. You know, to learn from who's around you, to learn from your director. Hopefully you've got a great director and they're going to work with you. And yeah, stay humble, stay real. Because
I feel like we're probably going to be working together at some point. I just get that feeling.
Oh, that would be fabulous. But yes, exactly. But, you know, so I think, I mean, I'm a big believer in there are no boundaries. There probably are. I'm just, you know, I'm an Aries as well. So it's like, what, boundary? I'm just going to crash into it. Sorry. Sorry?
When is your
birthday? 13th of April.
15th of April.
Oh, snap.
Get out of here.
Here you go.
Aries, all the way. That's
There you go.
As if
It's a
I
real
needed another
superpower.
reason.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Yeah, but exactly. I mean, it's a case of there's always a workaround and always a way around, but it sometimes just involves learning, and you got to be open to that.
Yeah, totally agree. So Sally, for those who are watching this that are unfamiliar, tell us a little bit about Shakespeare Republic. What is it about in a nutshell?
What is it about? It's a big question, isn't it? So Shakespeare Republic. Okay, so this started because oh my goodness, 2015 was the year that it began. So it's a while ago now. And we're in season 3 now. So and working on season 4. So it's ongoing. So Shakespeare Republic began as I called it the experiment, and I still call it that. It was a case of taking my love for Shakespeare, which is hilarious because I'm dyslexic. So and I do Shakespeare. Yeah.
Okay.
I do Shakespeare. It's an interesting conundrum. I can't, spell properly, but I can read Shakespeare. It's very weird. I put that down again to a very good teacher at drama school who personalized Shakespeare so much for me that I suddenly got it and became a born-again Shakespearean. So that was insane. And then, so I decided I want to take my love of Shakespeare and create something fun, really. It was about having fun with all the skill set that I had, all the skill set my group had around me that were creative, and just see how it all played out. So the idea was, and I'd had the idea when I graduated drama school in London too. This was not a new idea, but there was nothing like web series back then. I'm not going to say when, that will date me very clearly, but there were no real web series. It was there was the internet, obviously. The internet was there, and people were doing videos, but there was nothing like a web series sort of concept as to how we understand the industry now.
Sure.
So doing the short form Shakespeare stuff there was just no home for it at the time. And Sir Nigel Hawthorne was my honorary patron at the time for my production business. Sir Nigel, for those who don't know, played Humphrey Appleby. So Humphrey Appleby in Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister, English actor, beautiful man, and sadly missed, I'm going to say, since he passed. But I'd said to him, I want to do this. And he said, that's a great idea, but there's no home for it. And I went, yeah, good point. So it got shelved. So anyway, all of those factors came together after coming out of a very arduous shoot for another project and just saying, I just want to have fun again with all this stuff. So pulled together 5 other friends that were actors and said, all right, let's do this thing. There's things called web series now. Let's do this as a web series. So that was season 1, very ad hoc. But it's taking Shakespeare's works and putting them in a modern context for a modern audience. We don't change the language. We're still speaking Shakespeare, but we're doing it with modern sensibilities. So, and we're doing gender swapping, and we're putting the characters in sort of unusual situations they may not be in the play. The one rule we have is that any of the monologues that we do have to be able, if they have to, could slot back into the play and still make sense. So we try not to pull it too far away from the original ideas that he had, but at the same time, putting a modern take on it. So that was season 1. So it was 6 episodes. Season 2 was 13 episodes because we suddenly got more money, which is so exciting. And so 12 other actors joined me because I also act in the series and I direct all of them. And that was amazing. And then we had season 3, which was the surprise season. We weren't expecting to do that one. Coronavirus came along and locked us all in our homes. And so I suddenly thought, oh, yeah, we're doing monologues with Shakespeare. I could just do that with actors I could direct them through Zoom. That's fine. And they could record themselves on phones or cameras or whatever at home. And yeah, we could do that. Let's do that. So 24 episodes, I think it is now, later of that series, insane. And actors all over the world because, of course, we could suddenly do it through the internet. So I didn't have to have them based here in Melbourne. So that became Shakespeare Republic, or the Webs stage, the Lockdown Chronicles. And so that is the 3rd season that's been released, which we're so excited to have in Miami Web Fest.
Yes. And so I'll tell you what I love about it. First of all, the intros were kind of, you really set the stage, because let's face it, a lot of people they'll struggle with trying to really understand Shakespeare but when you give them that historical context and you bring them into it. So I was hooked right away from the intro, and then the way that the I believe the characters do a really good job of bringing the storylines to life. One of the episodes that I really liked was the girl with the dog and how she's yeah. I mean,
Yes.
she does a really good job of weaving in the words with what she has to play with. I thought it was magical.
Oh, I love that. That's Phoebe Ann Taylor, who played Launce, which is normally traditionally a male role. And I love that you loved that. We had so much fun filming that. And hilariously, Phoebe is actually based in Melbourne, as I am. So we were actually joking that we were doing this through Zoom and we could possibly have almost waved to each other in real life because we weren't really living that far from each other. But that was such a surreal time. But yeah, I'm so glad you love that episode, because I love that episode. I mean, I think that was, again, Lockdown Chronicles was taking Shakespeare's characters and putting them into lockdowns, into stay-at-home situations during the outbreak of COVID-19. And I love that idea that, I won't give it away. People have to watch the episode.
Yes.
But that thing about how do you deal with being locked down on your own? What do you do when all of your contact is through Zoom calls, essentially, and you're not seeing another human? So I love that you love that episode. That's so great.
So tell me this. So over the course of all 3 seasons, what would you say was the hardest either production challenge or artistic choice that you had to make?
Oh goodness. Oh, Bryan, you know this from filmmaking. Goodness me, especially independent filmmaking. So many situations you could choose from.
Yes.
The hardest thing. Okay. I guess. Oh,
I can
it's so funny.
the question.
It's a really curly question. I love it, though. I mean, it's funny. At the time, of course, it feels like the world's ending. But then in hindsight, it's like, oh, it was such a great time. I can't think of anything. I can. There are several things. What was the hardest time? I think it was interesting for me doing season 2 because of the fact that we opened it up so widely and we went beyond having just the one actor in each scene. We suddenly had a lot of background artists involved and we suddenly had supporting cast involved in a couple of episodes, not all of them. So for me, it was an interesting adjustment to deal with a lot of people that literally you just put the call out on Facebook to say, we'd really love some people to come and be background artists. We can give you lunch and maybe pay for your petrol. But that's about it, which was really, really hard. And of course, we had friends and family come, which was great, except then you try and have authority on set. And when you got your mother-in-law there.
Oh, yeah.
Shouting away, and you're like, how do I get her to be quiet without, really causing a drama? That was interesting. I mean, look, she was lovely and very respectful, but it was a weird moment for me, and trying to rein people in without coming across like a taskmaster, because we didn't actually have a first AD on the set either for that, which was really a major issue. And one thing that my cinematographer, who I adore, Sean Herbertson, has said to me going forward when we're not filming through Zoom anymore, can we just make sure we have an AD department, because it's really hard when the co-producers are trying to sort of all do that job. And yeah, that got a bit crazy. So the hardest thing, I think, was managing that many people and realizing when we come back into doing this in person, yeah, we need to have a full AD department. I can control one actor, that's fine. But when I've got 40 on set, it's like, oh, this is right. This is why we have an AD department. It's right. Now I'm remembering. So, yeah, that was probably one of the hardest things. But I think creatively, it felt like a hard choice at the time. But I actually think it was completely the right choice. People think I made the choice for technical reasons, and that sort of factored in. But for season 3, about going black and white, we got the footage starting to come in from the actors after we'd done the filming. And of course, I was only seeing it on Zoom. I wasn't actually necessarily getting a live feed from them as to what they were filming. I was literally just seeing them. So we had a couple of the eps come in and I just looked at it and went, oh, this color grade is going to be really hard because we're working on different formats and different cameras. And my colorist actually said to me, can we have a chat about that? Because how are we going to manage it? And I looked at it and I thought, you know what? We're shooting a piece of history. These people are in their homes. The world feels a little restricted and a little colorless right now.
Sure.
So let's artistically make the choice. It worked technically as well, obviously, but let's go black and white. Let's just go black and white for the whole thing. And Thanasi, who was my colorist, did a specific color grade in black and white for every episode. So it is actually colored. It is actually a colorist involved. But it just then suddenly elevated the work as well. It gave it a sense of, being a time capsule. And so it was a hard decision because I loved some of the colors in the pieces. And, you know, we had all this wonderful, people had gone to a lot of trouble at home, bless them, to make homemade things to put in the background of shots. And then I had to go, sorry, guys, it's all black and white now. So still keep the color because we're getting the different tones of grey there, but we're not really going to see it. So that was initially a tough choice, but I think I was really glad that we'd made that actually now in hindsight.
Well, I'm sure that your audience is very glad you did too, because beautiful piece of work. So how can people find you?
Well, the main series, you can find pretty much everything actually on this website, but the main series is on shakespearerepublic.com. And season 3 has its own website, just because I don't know why I did that. No, I put it down to lockdown craziness. But anyway, it has its own website, which is allthewebsastage.com. And I think it's because we thought it might be a standalone series. And then we just went, you know what? No, this is series 3. Season 3. It just clearly is. But yeah, shakespearerepublic.com is the best place to go. You'll find all the links to our social media and YouTube channels and all that sort of stuff as well there.
Wonderful. Sally, I am so glad that you could take the time to let me talk to you. And we are looking forward to screening your work during Miami WebFest 2022.
Thank you so much, Bryan. It's been a joy to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time. And we are so excited to be part of Miami this year. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm sure they're going to edit out the rest of this.
I know, right? Oh, my goodness.
So you're not going to make it to Miami?
I am so upset that I can't. This is crazy. It's especially because it's the second time the series has been in the festival. And I'm just like, oh, my goodness. No, sadly not at this point. Look, it's just, number one, the major reason is because I'm about to go into pre-production for another series. So I possibly could have done it, but it's going to cut it really fine because there's another series that we've released called Walking Shadows, which again was filming through Zoom because I seem to have the market cornered now on that, which I really don't want to keep doing. Directing through Zoom, oh my goodness, you'll get this. It's just so hard because you're not there. You're there, but you're not there. And so that really is difficult because you can't just step up and have that quiet word with the actor.
Right.
They're worrying about being their own crew and makeup artist and all that kind of, it becomes difficult. All the actors do amazing work under those conditions, but I don't wish to make that a feature of my directing.
Exactly.
No, thank you.
Not your thing.
No, not my thing. I mean, I can do it. It's great, but not my thing. Don't want to keep doing that going forward. But that's how we did the first season of Walking Shadows as well. Same way we did the season of Shakespeare Republic, working with my Shakespeare students because I was teaching last year here in Melbourne and we got plunged back into a lockdown in October last year. And it lasted for nearly 2.5 months. And so they couldn't get their work shown. And anyway, we created the series Walking Shadows. So that's doing the festival circuit now. So anyway, Howard Fine Acting Studio, who I teach for, as teach Shakespeare here in Melbourne, which is the Melbourne studio, they've asked if I'll do a season 2 with the current crop of students. So I will be in pre for that and probably actually in the room prepping them because